Hello. I hope everyone is having a great start to your summer. Um, I wanted to.
Everyone
Oh, there
is
we go.
having.
Okay, that is working. I hope y'all had a great start to your summer. I wanted to come on. I've had several questions lately with the students that I'm working with, and from several other parents, just about how do we focus our time? What is the timeline that we need to be looking at? How do I know what to do with my student? How do I help my student? Are we behind? This is for our rising seniors, so the class of 2025. The good news is you're not behind. There is plenty of time to be able to get the activities and things that you want to get done completed. Now, depending on the route that your student is taking, there can be some things that we might want to get more on top of sooner than later. For example, if your student is considering wanting to go to one of the military academies, and I'm going to talk about what students are able to do and what they're in control of over the summer, and then also the things that are going to be coming once school starts. So, if you're interested in the military academies, that might be something to start looking at. What are the requirements for those? They can have a requirement of a congressman or senator who needs to nominate students. Students that are interested in playing a college sport. That is something where, if there hasn't been any kind of communication with any coaches yet, that we want to go ahead and take a look at getting on top of that. But if you haven't, that's okay. There still is time. It's something that we just would want to start sooner than later. The other thing is, for those parents where students haven't gotten started with some of those tasks or activities, I really would encourage you to make the most of the time this summer. Now, some of that is going to look like what the student is in control of. So there are different application types. I've talked about that before. If you don't know, you can go back and watch some of the lives. And then I'm planning to go live quite a bit to really kind of break down the process and do little bits at a time. But over the summer, one of the things that I would suggest doing, and something that students can be in control of, is looking at applications and looking at the requirements for students as far as personal statements, looking at whether you can use the Common Application, what some of those due dates and deadlines are, looking at extracurricular activities and having a list of those, so that once the application opens, it's going to be really simple for your student and for you to work together and go ahead and enter all of those activities in. But if you have it in one place, it's going to make things tremendously easier. With the Common Application, if you are applying to a college that uses the Common Application, that is actually open right now for the class of 2024. But you still can go in, and when Common App rolls over at the end of July, it's not going to roll over for anything until students actually have their until so if you complete the Common Application parts, those will not be deleted for the 2025 application. So what will happen is you can fill out the Common App specific portions. If you fill anything out for a college, that will be deleted. So don't go in and fill out information for those very specific colleges. But you can absolutely go in, start entering the information, demographics, entering some of those basics. And the other thing I would suggest is start to take a look at the personal statement. That is something where many of the colleges are, if you're using Common App, you're going to have some kind of personal statement that is entered, that is completed. So I would say go ahead and start taking a look at that personal statement. It doesn't have to be something where it's just a challenge. I have actually been doing some training and working with one of my students on his essays. And if you all are interested in me setting up a group of students to kind of work through, where we go over the content, we go over what to expect with the essays, and then kind of walk through that with your student, let me know. I am completely open to having that group or even working with parents of seniors and your student as you kind of navigate making sure that we have the college list and all of those different pieces. So send me a message if that is something that you would like to do, and we can talk about what that would look like, and if we have a group of students, then I can even look at the potential of doing a discount. If you want support throughout the entire process, I am also happy to do that. So when we looking at essays, the supplemental, if that is something that your college has released, that they are going to have a supplemental essay with if they're going to have a supplemental essay, then that's something that it's been released for 2025. Students can also begin working on that. They can start working on that college list. They can start working on the extracurricular list and taking a look at the cost of the college to make sure that as you are navigating that you have everything that you need. Now, again, I would say there are plenty of factors that students can work on right now. They can put together, make sure that their resume is in good shape, that they have prepared anything that might be needed for teacher letters of recommendation. Now, the teachers may not be in school right now. I know for ours, they don't start back until the beginning of August. But if students have talked to them already, then once the school year starts, it's really easy to send a letter, an email, and say, hey, I just wanted to connect with you again. Thank you so much for your willingness to write a letter for me. I wanted to give you my resume and find out if there's, any other information that you need from me in order to write the best letter possible. Thank you again. I appreciate your help. If you haven't talked with a teacher, if your student has not talked with a teacher about it, one of the things that I would suggest is that you go ahead and you talk with them about who do we want to ask to write those letters? Do the colleges that your students are looking at have a specific request as far as who they want to write those recommendation letters? If so, then you need to think about which teacher you want to write. If you are going into a STEM field, do you want to have a math or science teacher? If you are going into something that's more humanities based, is there a different teacher that would be able to write the best letter? If you are going into an arts field, I've talked about that was what I initially went into, and I had my theater teachers were the ones who wrote my letters. I had a core course teacher, but I also had that theater teacher who wrote a letter. If you have a student athlete, maybe asking their coach to speak to who they are on and off the court or the field or the gym or wherever it is that they're playing. So those are some things that students can really start looking at right now. So taking a look at the potential of essays, looking at starting to take a look at the supplemental essays, if those are released. If not, working on that personal statement, and then also being able to take a look at your activity list and any additional information that it's important for colleges to know about students is really helpful. Looking at the Common App, if that's how students are planning to apply, and then also taking a look at letters of recommendation and making sure that resume is really polished and ready to go. And then just being on top of knowing what the dates and deadlines are. One of the things that I have for students that I work with is we actually have a spreadsheet that looks at, okay, here are the colleges we're applying to. Here are the due dates for the student portions. Here are the due dates for the parent or the teacher portions. And what do we need to know about deadlines? How many of those things are needed? All of those different pieces. I know that it can feel overwhelming. It can end up feeling like, oh my gosh, are we behind? We're not going to get anything done. This is going to take all of our time. It doesn't have to. There is definitely support to be able to make sure that you and your student have what you need, as well as being able to really just dive in and feel confident with what you're doing. So, like I said, if you all have any interest, whether you are live, I see there are several people, or if you're watching the replay and you have any interest in me working with students on the essay components, Or if, and we really would go through the entire brainstorming process and kind of walk through what that looks like. Or if you would like some support in working with your students, send me a message. I am happy to help. Um, and I hope that you have a fantastic evening. Please be on the lookout. I plan to go live in future days, just as far as talking through more detail about what to expect. If you have any questions or there's something that you want to make sure that I cover, please let me know. I hope you have a great evening. Bye.